News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. Nick Barris coming to you on this Tuesday, and glad to have you with us. I hope you're having a good morning so far, and we're going to get the phone number up there for you in a moment. If you'd like to join in the conversation on this edition of MorningLine, we're going to be talking about, hey, we're a day into Phase 1 in Metro. Of course, the state and other counties outside Davidson have already started what you might say Phase 1. The steps that we're taking is away from staying at home to reopening businesses. A lot of people wanting to get back to work and the like and all of that. How's it going? What is your take? How have you handled things yourself as some of these things have changed? And we'll talk about it now with Metro's vice mayor. He's not the mayor, but he's the vice mayor, all right? And that would be Jim Shulman. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Nick. How are you?
Good. Nice to have you on. Yeah, it's interesting. We were debating whether to have you on the Monday or the Tuesday, depending on how your schedule worked out. And I think it makes sense to have you come in. We're just one day in here in Davidson County.
Yeah.
But I think you even told me that you went out yesterday, walked around. You saw Vicki Yates out doing her little walk.
I saw Vicki Yates doing her walk. At first, we didn't recognize each other because we had masks on.
Yeah.
But so my offices are downtown, and I've been able to continue to work because nobody else is basically on my floor, so I've been up there. And I thought yesterday, okay, first day, let's see who's open. And so I walked over to the arcade, and it seemed about 3/4 of the restaurants over there were open, but they're open, but there's not a lot of people downtown, so it was quiet. And then I ran into Vicki in the just walking through the arcade, and we were talking about, well, you know, at least it's a start, but a lot of people are still at home. They're not working from home. So you have all the state employees basically not working from home. You have a lot of the offices around downtown not working they're all working from home, not downtown. So the restaurants are open downtown, but there's just not a lot of people down there.
What are you hearing from some of the restaurants? 'Cause I think you're probably right. It's going to take a while for it to get going. The restaurants, do you get the sense that most of them will try to abide by the 50% full order? And by the way, for some restaurants that maybe are smaller, that only have like 10 tables, and there are some like that where you kind of go in and out, it may not even be worth them opening up if they are not allowed to have a full capacity in there. But do you get the sense, because we've seen videos from, frankly I have, from counties outside Davidson that have already opened under the state rules, and I've seen a few restaurants that I was shaking my head going, man, I ain't going in there. It's packed. And then we've seen some around the country, and some people say, fine, I'm going to go in there and do it. There's plenty of people that are going to ignore the restrictions, in my opinion. Question is, will the establishments try to enforce them themselves, or is it going to be left to the state and Metro?
Well, based upon what I saw yesterday, the restaurants were complying. Everybody's being very careful. You know, the tables are all separated out.
Yeah.
You can only put a limited number of people in the restaurant, so everybody seemed yesterday to be complying. So just like you, I mean, if I were to say, okay, I want to go out to lunch and I want to go to this particular place, and you walk in the door and they're not practicing social distancing, the employees are not wearing masks, and there are a million people in the restaurant, why go there? Mm-hmm. So part of this is, you know, you, the individual, kind of policing it yourself so that you're not going to go into a place that is not practicing those health protocols, but the restaurants themselves need to be practicing it, because if I'm a customer, I'm not going to go into a place that is not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, the mayor, I think, didn't he say that if people observe restaurants not abiding by it, or any businesses following the rules they're supposed to, is it 311, and is that just a Davidson County number, 311?
Yeah, call 311 and you can report. You know, this is not, we don't want to get into a situation where we've got the police, who are busy enough as it is, having to go patrol and try to figure out whether people are actually practicing social distancing. This is up to all of us. We've been talking about this, Nick, for you know, weeks. But I mean, I, for one, do not want to go back through what we went through in the spring. I mean, that was new for us. You know, we're all staying safer at home and only going out on certain occasions. I want to get back to some type of new normal, and so if we're gonna be able to get to phase 2 and to phase 3 and then ultimately to phase 4, it's kind of everybody's responsibility to do what they're supposed to do.
Right. And every morning we're going to continue to have these briefings from the Metro Health Department with the mayor there. And I guess that's really where it is now, both for the state and then watching. And it's not just reporting the numbers, and I think our station's going to try to do this. But the key now, in my opinion, in the next 2-3 weeks as we see this, is what happens trending with infections. And,
right.
and we hope, and we understand that there may be some modest, I think there was overnight, some increases, primarily tied to the fact that they're doing more increased testing in some of the jails and prisons, which was likely going to bring those numbers up. But once we get past all that, the key is going to be watching whether or not all of a sudden we start climbing, or it stabilizes and maybe starts going down. And that's what everyone's hoping for.
Yeah, I think everybody should be watching those numbers. You know, go to the watch the mayor's press conference, go to the website, nashville.gov. Keep an eye on those numbers. You're looking for the rate of cases, hospitalizations. You're basically looking, I think, for, you know, can we handle the situation? If we can't, then you're going to see us move backwards and back, you know, either stay in phase 1 or even go back further than that. If we go to phase 2 and the same thing happens, you can see us move back. Based upon what the mayor is saying is that they're watching the numbers just like everybody else. So you're hoping those numbers kind of stabilize, they start decreasing. Hospitals have the capacity to handle any type of volume that occurs. You're also looking for doubling rates. I heard that over the weekend, where you want like a 15 to 16 day where you know, if you see the cases doubling, if they're doubling quicker, which is obviously number of cases are going up, then we're in trouble. So I think everybody's responsible for this. Everybody just needs to be taking the basic safety measures. Again, heard over the weekend, Nick, the best way at this point, until we get some type of vaccine, is to practice social distancing. You know, keep doing that so that we can sort of get back to normal. Yeah.
Now, also, are you pretty confident? I know the state, we've heard reports, maybe doesn't have enough folks online really to do this. Metro bringing more people in to do kind of that the tracing and to try to the contact tracing to see, you know, when there's a case, and they say that's crucial, because then you need to reach out to those who are exposed and say, you stay put so you don't continue to spread it.
Right, right. So again, go back to the, you know, social distancing. What you're trying to do is use basic techniques until we figure out how to cure this, you know, with medicine. Social distancing, but then the tracing part of it allows you to kind of stay up with it and figure out, okay, who maybe has been exposed, and then you quarantine those as well so it doesn't spread. These are basic, simple measures. I'm not sure. I know that the state had sent out an email last week to state employees who were at home and said, you know, can you take a little bit of time to track these people and trace them so you can figure out what's going on and who needs to be notified. I'm sure the city is trying to do that as well, and certainly we can find either people who are, you know, working from home who can give a little bit of their time, or, you know, volunteers to do this if they're. I think they were trying to do, at least the state was trying to do state employees at first. If they need to go out and get volunteers, they'll have to do background checks and everything else like that. But again, Nick, we're all in this together. We're just trying to figure out how to do this until we can get to that point where, you know, everybody's waiting for that vaccine, but it's going to be a while before we get that.
That's what we hear. It's going to take some time. Listen, let's take a phone call before we go to the break, the first break, and that's Ann, who always calls in with good questions. Ann, good morning. What's on your mind?
Good morning. I'm not calling with a question. I'm calling in with a thank you. Last week, unfortunately for a realtor and a listing agent, they found out that I garden in not one but 3 yards on my street, and I found a violator of one social distancing violation and not wearing masks.
Right.
And at first I didn't call it in, and then second I decided to ask my councilman, is this something that should be called in? And I found out, yes, it did need to be called in. And then the violator informed me of her opinion of the mayor's mask request, and that happened over the weekend. So yesterday I again called in with the violation, and yesterday afternoon when this leasing agent showed up very angrily in masks with 6 people to traipse through this home, everybody wore masks. So I wanted to say thank you to the health department that obviously did do some research and did some discussion, because last week 12 people were taken through these homes with no social distancing and no mask being worn. And one of those homes belonged to a doctor with 3 small children.
Okay, Ann, and thank you for being vigilant, which she is. So I guess she got some results there.
Well, and so she's doing what she's supposed to do. Obviously, you know, you're trying to handle it yourself. And when people start pushing back, particularly if this is what's really interesting about what Ann was talking about. All right, so a leasing agent, and she's got people coming through looking at this, apparently a house or something to lease. And I mean, so if I'm looking for something to lease and I walk into somebody who is not practicing social distancing or wearing a mask, I don't think I'm going to go in.
Right.
And so she's causing her own problems for other people, and then if somehow she got infected and infected other people, then that leads to a whole nother spread. So, you know, I know there's been issues about people wearing masks and people complain. It's a mask.
I know.
Go get one and put it on. And practice social distancing. It is, you know, you can have your own opinions, that's fine. But medical opinion says you should be wearing this and you should be practicing social distancing. It's not that difficult. And even if you don't believe in some of this stuff, don't take the risk. Because again, Nick, we've said on this phone numerous times, if people just don't buy this stuff and don't believe in it, but they get infected and they infect somebody, a grandmother who gets really sick, it's on them. Don't take that risk.
Yeah, and you're right. It's just a mask, you know? Go for it. Whatever. It's all right. And I appreciate that she took steps and Metro responded to it. But the bottom line is I think Jim's made it clear, it's personal responsibility. We're going to see a lot of people violating the mask thing. You can't be calling it in on anyone. I don't want to be a narc on people anyway, okay? I'm just going to kind of like hope that they abide by it. It's personal responsibility. And even if you don't care for it yourself, don't be a selfish person. Try to protect someone else. If you just don't believe it, well, then you're clueless. We're going to take a break. We're going to open up the phone line. 737-7587 is the number. We'll take some more phone calls, and we'll get into with the Vice Mayor where we stand right now on this proposed property tax increase. Of course, it's a biggie here in Metro, and the Budget Committee met yesterday. We'll be back with more right after this.